Hello everybody, here with your Chulainn solo guide, guys. Arguably one of the best solo laners in the game right now. He just absolutely is loving life. So we're going to be grabbing ourselves a Warrior's Axe. With our Warrior's Axe, we're going to get tier 1 boots, Chalice of Healing, and we're going to get ourselves a couple of health pots on Chulainn to stack up with those 5 health pots. Hey there. You can actually get multi-pots on Chulainn still. I don't think it's the end of the world. But you obviously will not get that real mana benefit because you don't have mana. You have rage as you are mechanic, but you cannot double stack the chalice and the health potion, so just be aware. You can't pop those both at the same time for the double heal like you can with the multi potions, so just keep that in mind. Going to be starting off with our 1. This is also the ability that we are going to max out first on Chulainn. Part of the reason why Chulainn is considered so strong right now is that when you get to lane, you're basically about to transform. You're going to rage out on that first real wave over in solo lane, which is going to help you get pressure right off the bat. So you don't have to wait around to get pressure. There's really nobody in the game that gets pressure over the Chulainn right now in that laning phase. Because we're going to basically be raging on our way to lane. The reason why we grabbed that Warrior's Blessing is 1, it is just cheap and it is good, man. Chulainn can honestly get away with basically anything. I've seen people run mannequins on him, which is good. I've seen the Warrior's Axe, which is good. You can go the situational items like the stone. So really anything is going to work. And now I'm immediately level 2, so I'm going to start running at this Wukong. I'm just going to immediately run at him and auto attack him and just get a bunch of poke on him. And you can see that I've already taken complete control of the lane, which is also going to let me get this first totem. This does not matter who you are against in solo. There is nobody that can contest that first wave transform. Literally nobody. At level 2, we got our leap, which is our 3rd ability. When we transform into Cuckoo Rage form, our leap becomes a dash. And our 1 becomes a root. So instead of the damage that it normally does and the anti-heal that it provides, it is going to turn into a line-based root. Our 2 is a bleed around our character in our regular form. That is also going to reduce some of our rage. So when you hit the critical rage meter of 85, that is when you are going to start raging out on Chulainn. That's when you're going to turn into a monster. When you are already in your monster form, your 2 will by default be on. So you will be bleeding around yourself all the time, no matter what. So you don't have to press that 2 to get the bleed around your character. It'll just be happening.
Okay.
Auto on. Gotta put that minion down to 1 ASP just to heal up a little bit over here. Also, every time you transform, you're going to give yourself a nice little shield. So you're going to make yourself just a little bit tankier every time that you do that. So every time you transform, you're going to give yourself just a little partial shield for that transformation. In lane, this is what's going to let you bully people a lot, because you're going to have... for the most part, this reoccurring bonus HP that you get that you can then use to W key right at the opponent, because they've got to actually burn through some of your bonus HP. So right now, I don't really want to rage out, so I'm going to pop my 2 to bring down my rage meter just a little bit, so that way I can try to save my rage for when the Chulainn comes back to lane, so I can use it for some damage. I've gotten teleport on my solo laner. A lot of solo laners like to get blink. This Wukong has also opted for teleport. I happen to think that teleport is just super good right now. I'm going to ulti on this Wukong, CC him for my Neja, which is going to let him follow up. The second he comes down from this, I'm going to ulti him again, because you get another ultimate in your transform. That's right. You got 1 ulti in your regular form. That's going to be a giant AoE around you that knocks up. And then in your monster form, it is once again going to be a giant AoE around you, but instead of doing the knockup, it is going to be the tremor effect. Ooh, spooky. Now that we've killed that Wukong, I feel free to go ahead back up. I'm going to get my warrior tabi. And against this composition, I'm going to start working right into a gladiator shield. I'm going to teleport back to lane and buy a couple of wards. Those couple of wards are going to be put out into the enemy jungle right on their back harpies. I want to get the wards over near there so I can start to go farm their jungle. As a solo laner, it is your job to start taking farm away from the jungle as soon as humanly possible. So for our level order on Chulainn, we're going to max out R1 first. This is going to be our most consistent poking ability. Throwing down my ward here on their blue and over here on the farther away harpy camp. That way I know when they spawn and I can just run over and do them. Popping my 2 so I don't rage out quite as early. I'm still going to pop my rage over here, but I wanted it to wait just a little bit. I can actually see the Wukong has now run over here. Athena is ulting, so I'm going to try to use my dash to get away. Saving my ultimate right now for the CC immunity when he goes for that taunt, so that way he doesn't actually taunt me back towards him. Turning around, getting some poke here at the very end. I can see the Hunbats over on that ward on the blue, so I need to make sure I back myself up just a little bit. We're getting that gladiator shield as our second item for 2 reasons. One, they have a physical solo laner and a physical jungler, so physical defense is where we want to go. 2, we have a lot of abilities on Chulainn, and gladiator shields are going to give us that extra damage for those abilities. You don't have to get gladiator shield this early. If you want to go something like a Stone of Gaia is still a good item. You can go some other items. I recommend personally getting that glad shield in your first 3 items. I think it really does. You can feel the damage over a solo lane. I see that my Neja has ulti this guy, so I'm going to come around this corner. I don't really want to whiff my ulti, so I'm just going to chillax, and we're going to get a little proxy farm here behind the wall. Another thing that you should know is every time that you were in your rage form, you can basically just go ahead and use that ulti. There's really no reason to hold it, so make sure you're using it every time. You're not going to be able to go ahead and rage out again and like not have that cooldown back up. Was uses her Aegis, so I can dive right into the back line and grab myself this speed bump and that kill. Putting another point into our ultimate. I don't want to waste any time going for that Athena kill. I need to get right back on my farm train. Farming the most important thing for all roles right now, but solo lane can really get a massive level lead if you're farming properly. I don't remember if I said it earlier, but our official level order on Q is 1, 4, 3, 2. 1 for the damage on the poke. Then we rank up our ultimate for the big AoE. Then we get our 3 for our dashes. Finally, our 2. All the 2 does when we level it up is it gives us a little bit of extra damage per tick around us. So we don't actually need that ranked up that fast. Now on Chulainn, my enemy target is always going to be whoever their solo laner is when I'm in my monster form. So whoever your lane opponent is, the second you turn into that monster form, you should be absolutely W king at them, because you get that bonus HP, you got that bleed around you, you got that damage. There is nobody that can contest you in the laning phase. The only people that are going to be able to maybe go a little bit okay with you is going to be some of the Vamp Shroud Guardians. Some of the Vamp Shroud Guardians will have a lot of sustain in the lane. And so sometimes they can try to keep up with you in the sustain department, but they won't be able to like kill you or anything. For the most part right now in solo lane, rotations are coming quite late in the game. So you don't need to really worry about rotating around the map. Your #1 priority is farm. Your goal is to basically make the enemy rotate to you. So instead of you having to rotate and potentially missing out on any farm, start running into the enemy jungle, take all their farm that way. That way they have no choice. Just like this, they have to actually rotate to me. And even if I die here, it's not the end of the world because I've got my teleport up and they are using a lot of time and effort. So they've sent 4 people over to my lane. This is perfect. You want them to do this because then the rest of your team is getting so much farm around the map. And if you have the teleport, you're basically not gonna lose out on any farm, which is awesome. So for my third item right here on Chulainn, I'm going to go right into a Pridven. I think that Pridven Gladiator Shield combo on the Warrior solos is so good right now, especially if you get a little bit ahead early, because you're going to get all of that CDR. On Chulainn, we've got all these various abilities. We use our ultimate, which is going to throw us into our rage form, so we get a little shield from that Pridven proc. Then we go into our monster form, which is going to give us a shield. So now we got shields on shields on shields. So very good. The warrior builds in general right now are really based around, just like last season, building up a lot of protections and abusing that bonus damage that you get from Gladiator Shield. And then, of course, you get those protections as well, and it's going to help out with your Pridven proc. So getting a lot of utility and damage out of that Pridven and Gladiator Shield procs. So I'm just going to stand right on this tower line. I'm going to get some damage on him. As soon as the creeps start to get up to me, I'm going to actually ultimate because I want to build up my rage. Your ultimate will build up your rage super fast. If you use it on the minion wave, you'll basically go from none like all the way to full. And that's going to let me have this kill opportunity on the Wukong, and we're going to be able to put him down. So I knew I needed to build up my rage right there, so I used my ultimate on the Wukong to get the damage out as much as I could. But I also wanted to make sure it was hitting the wave, so that way I got a massive amount of rage built up. All of your abilities on Chulainn, of course, use that rage mechanic. So if I use my 1, you actually watch my rage go down. But the more targets that you hit with your abilities, the faster your rage will build. So if you hit your 1 on like a full wave, you're gonna see this is actually building up rage compared to just taking away rage. Don't want to rage out right now, so I'm going to go ahead, pop my 2, and run into their jungle, continually looking for their camps. A good solo laner right now is not only going to put themselves ahead over the enemy solo, they're going to put your jungler ahead of their jungle by continually taking those 2 back camps as well as the blue buffs as they spawn. It basically means that half of the jungle in the game is actually yours, and this is what's also going to let you snowball out of control in the solo lane. Athena's coming for me. That's actually all right. I'm going to turn this around. I'm just going to continue fighting right now, waiting for the Wukong to land on me so I can use my 3 to try to jump over it just like that, so I don't actually take any damage from that falling Wukong because I was in the air on my 3 at the time that he landed. At the time that he landed. Alright. I've got a lot of gold, so I'm going to go ahead and back it right on up. We can get our full Pridven online. I can also get my second active this game. Your second active is almost always going to be Thorns in this current meta. Your first active, if you didn't want the teleport, you go Blink. You'll see a lot of solo laners basically you either get Blink or teleport as your first active, and then after that first active slot, your second active is always going to be Thorns. That Thorns specifically there to make sure that the hunters have some repercussions for building crit, because they're pretty much always going to build crit right now because it is so efficient in the damage department. You're going to see a lot of fail knocks, a lot of wind demons, a lot of rages right now. So having that Thorns means that the hunters have to think twice about building crit. It also stops them from running multiple characters with crit. So they might have a Mercury jungle or a Bakasura or something. Those characters that will also be building crit if you're not careful. So you want to make sure there is some sort of disincentive for them to be going right into the highest possible damage items. For the laning phase, we talked about it a little bit, but for your matchups, Chulainn is the best solo laner in the game. which means that you can pick him at any time. It does not matter what their comp is. It does not matter what the lane is. He is always going to be the best pick for solo right now. So if he is open, you should feel free to pick him. There is no such thing as a bad Chulainn pick.
Double kill.
For gods that you want to be against, though, for guys that you want to be against, you want to be against the 2x physicals. That means that you want to be against a physical in lane and a physical in the jungle, because that is going to let you rock that more specified build where I'm going mostly into this physical defense, and I get to really abuse the early gladiator shield and Pridvin combination. I don't have to worry about getting like an early Genji's guard, Talisman of Energy, anything like that. I just get to go right into this physical defense and get that 2x efficacy, knowing that when I get ganked, I'm gonna be totally fine because I've got so many physical protections against their physical heavy comp. Now, this doesn't mean that we're not getting magical defenses. We are, of course, going to be getting magical defenses. They've got an Athena. They also have, more importantly, a Woojer that we're going to have to be dealing with. So we're going to be grabbing some magical defense. For that next item, I'm going to be getting myself a Talisman of Energy. I'm a firm believer that Talisman of Energy is one of the best items in the game. If you're in communication with your support, I don't necessarily think you have to have 2 of them on your team. One of them is fine, but Talisman of Energy gives your team so much movement speed and attack speed that you should really make sure that one of you has this item. You can see that this is giving out 20% movement speed. Excuse me, 12% movement speed potentially, as well as attack speed, as well as a billion MP5. So you need to make sure that somebody on your team does have this item.
Let me aid you.
And in general, it's just safer to buy the item yourself because you can't really trust anybody to be building those types of items for your team. We should also bring up anti-heal. Anti-heal in solo lane, your traditional options are going to be Contagion and Pestilence. They have a little bit of healing on this team. Mostly just the Woojer ult. I'm not super concerned about that. She's not particularly far ahead. It's her ultimate ability for the anti-heal. So I don't think that we need it this game. But if you do need anti-heal in solo right now, you're traditionally going to be grabbing either the Pestilence if you need magical defense, or the Contagion. Gonna ulti right here, avoid that CC immunity. Excuse me, avoid that silence by utilizing my CC immunity on the ultimate. And then I'm gonna pop my 2, which is gonna do that little bleed around me and my thorns. And I'm gonna be able to bring her down under her tower. Wukong's off to the side. Gonna be able to dash right back into these guys, use my bleed all around them. I'm just gonna go for the Athena. He's already brought the Hunt Bats in the air. Make sure my chalices are proccing on me the entire time so I can get that sustain. And you can see how much of a bully that the Chulainn is. He really does just get to absolutely W at the enemy team. And now that I've got the Talisman of Energy, as we're killing enemy gods or even just a wave of minions, my team is going to be able to run even faster down the lane, even quicker at the enemy team. Our Danza's got increased attack speed. Everybody's able to get into melee range because we have additional movement speed. Lord forbid we combine that with a War Flag like our RDO has. War Flag also going to give you that movement speed and attack speed. These do combine, which combines with a sprint, which combines with a Shogun's Kusari. All of those items will stack together, and you will have the fastest movement speed and attack speed team in the entire game. And it is efficient all the time. This is not just like a, hey, these items are sometimes good thing. These items are always good right now. There's never a bad situation to have upwards of plus 100% attack speed for your team and upwards of plus 50% movement speed for your team. Can never ever go wrong with the War Flag supports and the Talisman of Energy teams and the sprints and the Shoguns and all that good stuff. Now for some other items that you should keep in mind over here in the solo lane, Void Shield is always a great item, particularly if you have a very physical heavy team. you might want to go that Void Shield to provide some aura penetration for your boys. We have a good mix and match of damage this game. We got the Guardian support, we've got a Mage middle, and a couple of Warriors. But if you're rocking a team that's got 4 physicals, Lord forbid you've got 5 physicals, make sure you grab that Void Shield for that aura penetration to help you guys. It will be very noticeable as you get later into the game. Gonna be jumping right into the back line. Don't have to be afraid of anybody. Gotta pop my 2 just for the bonus movement speed and my Thorns as I'm trying to get in range of this Wuzwuz and try to kill him before he can get into the fountain. And my Pridvin will actually do the rest of it for me. So right there, I didn't use my 2 because I wanted not to transport. I actually used it for that very small bonus 5% movement speed that you get in the bleed around me, which I thought would be enough to kill her, and it was. Got me in range of that Pridvin proc, and now we should be able to just kind of walk out this Titan and end the game. Building up my rage this whole time. Gonna transform, grab ourselves one last little kill here, and we're gonna be able to W key right down into the Titan. This is exactly how you should expect your choo-choo games to go. You start winning early in the solo lane because you instantly rage on the wave. That means you can go for the totem to start getting your team ahead with that MP5 and speed that it provides. You push your enemy solo laner out of the lane with all of the extra damage that you get, plus you get that bonus shield from your passive on the transform, which means that now you can go invade for almost always that first respawn in the jungle, which means you put their jungler behind. Now your jungler is ahead, your whole team is ahead, all because you picked the Chulainn at the start. For the end of our build in that game, guys, I would have gotten myself into the ranked up Warriors axe. I forget which one it is. It's one on the left-hand side. I always forget what it's called. That is the traditional upgrade that you're going to go. Gonna make you tankier. It gives you that 10% drain. So you've got a 10% drain on your axe now, which is a siphon of XP, or excuse me, a siphon of HP from your opponent to you. You also get the bonus damage from your Glad Shield. You're getting all the effectiveness from your Pridvin. And so you're getting a bunch of damage while you're basically just building strictly tank items. As your last item, you get a lot of flexibility here. We talked about the Void Shield earlier for physical heavy teams. You can go into another magical defense item, something more supporty like a Shogun's Kusari, or you can go selfish, get yourself something like an Chulainn, which will also provide you with another 10% CDR, so you've got the max 40% CDR, or something strictly tank that gives you something like percent mitigations like a Spirit Robe or an Oni Hunter's Garb to make yourself really tanky at the end of the game, guys. And that is our Choo Choo solo guide.